Hi, it's Mobile Max, West Hollywood, California, and it's April 21st. It's Monday, 2025. The Pope died, but I'm an atheist, so I really don't care. Sorry to all the Catholics out there, but to tell you the truth, God is just too small of an idea for the incredible vastness and power of the universe. The vanity and greed of man is just too small for this incredible universe. The problem with the universe is it doesn't care about you. It's got laws and you got to abide by them, but as far as humans go, it doesn't care about you. Anyway, I've lived in Los Angeles all my life. I was born here and I grew up here, and the way it was when I was young is it didn't matter who you were or what color your skin was. If you ran from the police, the LAPD, or you gave them a hassle when they were trying to detain you, they kicked your ass. It didn't matter who the hell you were. If you went against them and troubled them and ran from them or resisted when they were trying to arrest you, they kicked your ass. And that's the way it was. Because why? Because they wanted respect. Just like any other person who has to enforce the law, they wanted respect. Anyway, let's go back in our time machine. And you go back because when certain events happen, they seem like they're separated and not connected. But when you look at them from the future, or right now it's the future, you can see the connections. And let's go to March 3rd, 1991. Rodney King is abused and assaulted by white LAPD officers, and it's caught on videotape and broadcast all over the world by the liberal media. Subsequently, when these police officers who assaulted and abused Rodney King are tried in Simi Valley, they're found not guilty. They're acquitted. And black people in South Central LA blow up and they riot and they burn down buildings and they loot and they go crazy, but it's all in South Central LA. The riot and burning doesn't come up to white areas in the more affluent communities. Okay, now let's go to 2013. Black Lives Matter is founded by university students. I guess they graduated by now, but they were university students. Now we go to May 25th. No, hold on. First we got to go to late 2018, 2019, and the federal courts, the Ninth Circuit of the Federal Appeals Court in San Francisco makes a ruling, a judgment, in the case of Martin versus Boise, Idaho. Martin was the plaintiff. He was an unhoused man, a homeless man who was tired of being hassled by the Boise police every time he put his tent up on the sidewalk. So he sued the city of Boise, Idaho. And what the court found was, if Boise, Idaho couldn't supply a bed and a roof for this homeless man, that Martin had a right to sleep or pitch up his tent on public property. And that ruling was affected LA to a huge extent. You remember, I was here. All of a sudden, after that, there were tents and homeless people up and down and all over the white areas of Los Angeles, all up and down Sunset, and in Hollywood Boulevard, and in Beverly Hills, and all over the place. All of a sudden, there was all these homeless people, and I was always wondering, where do these people go to the bathroom? It was a huge health problem. Anyway, that's not the point. Anyway, now let's go to 2018, 2019, from that point on, after this federal Ninth Circuit Court ruling on Martin versus Boise, homeless people have the right to sleep on public property, on sidewalks, whatever, in mountains. On May 25th, 2020, George Floyd is killed by overly aggressive white police. Well, black people do not like being stopped by the police. They don't like it. From their history, they get paranoid when police stop them to give them a ticket, and they really don't like it when they're getting arrested, and they tend to get paranoid and very aggressive. Anyway, on May 25th, 2020? May 25th, 2020, George Floyd, 6'6" convict from Houston, Texas, is in Minneapolis, Wisconsin, and he allegedly tries to pass a counterfeit $20 bill at the liquor store, and the liquor store guy calls the police. They show up, and they get into a scuffle with George Floyd, and he's a big dude, so he fights them, and then they get crazy and get aggressive, and they end up killing the guy, which ain't right. Now, I know that. But this is videotaped. Somebody videotapes this. Now, whether this was a setup to get an event to spark a riot to get Biden elected, I don't know. But it's, a possibility. These possibilities exist. People make plans. People who are associated have other people who are connected to these plans, and they take actions too, especially if they're in positions of power. Things have happened throughout human history, so it's a possibility. Any rate, after George Floyd, Black Lives Matter became very powerful, very powerful. They got tens of millions of dollars in donations. And now they had their Black Lives protest in white areas. I was here, so I'll tell you the one that I saw. And this is before, I guess it's in 2020, I think during the summer of 2020, before the 2020 presidential election, down at the Orange Grove Black Lives Matter protest. Now, all of a sudden, Black Lives Matter were all in the white areas around here. Why? Because they had a ready-made population. The homeless, who were all in the white areas, were camped out, and they were ready-made audience for Black Lives Matter protests and activists in these protests. Down at the Orange Grove, they had a Black Lives Matter protest, and it turned into a riot, and they started burning down buildings at the Orange Grove, and it came up to Santa Monica Boulevard, because I went and saw it like a day after the riots, and youths from Black Lives Matter were roaming around, breaking into stores, especially jewelry stores. They knew which stores to hit. Jewelry store right down here on Santa Monica Boulevard in Genesee, I think. According to the liquor store across the street, looters broke into that store 3 times during that night of the riot that came from Black Lives Matter protest at the Orange Grove. They broke windows all over the area, but they especially, the looters, liked the jewelry stores. And the liquor store guy told me that they hit that jewelry store that night 3 times. They came. They broke out the windows. They went in and looted the jewelry. And 3 times people came and looted this place, and the cops just watched. Now, Biden was elected, and the liberals took over, and the liberals especially took over California. But I see all these events linked. This was a plan. This was a plan to make laws and start events, and they are all connected the way I see it. And it's led to terrible liberal, radical, they're not middle of the road anymore, they're radical left liberals running things, making nonsensical laws. But that's the connection right there. That's all connected together. Somebody made a plan, somebody organized, and it worked. It fucking worked, and liberal fucking Hollywood was on board. Liberal media, and especially liberal Hollywood, those people were part of this whole rebellion and destruction of our society, and destruction of the laws, and the destruction of the middle class. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Bye.